What's up, fellow bassheads and home theater fanatics? Today, we're going to find out if it's possible for a sci-fi horror film to actually be lacking in bass. Sound weird? It definitely is a weird one. Stick around. Alright, what's up everybody? My name is Todd with avnirvana.com and welcome to episode number 4 of Bass Hunters. We are back in force. We have 4 episodes coming up in quick succession, starting off with today's featured film, Nope. Now this is a film that's still out in theaters. You can go see it right now if you'd like to. It's a 2022 release by director Jordan Peele, who is very acclaimed for some of his previous work, and this time I think he was given a little bit extra of a leash in terms of liberties and how he's going to approach a film. This is definitely going to be probably one of the more polarizing releases of the summer. I can just tell you from watching it with my wife, who absolutely hated it. She had no idea what the meaning of the film was, and I'm still actually wondering if I know what the meaning of the film is. But I enjoyed it. I actually like this movie a lot, and we're going to get into that in a few moments. And before we begin, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends and our partner over at Kaleidescape. It's a system that gives you access to over 13,000 disc quality or better movies that have lossless audio. It's just really fantastic stuff. And what's really cool, if you have a Kaleidescape Terra server, you can download 4K titles in as little as 12 minutes. These are disc quality titles. And something that I really love is that you get access to most of these titles weeks, if not more than a month in advance of their official launch on disc. Go to kaleidescape.com for more information. So today's show really is a reboot of Bass Hunters because we are going to be truncating everything down and keeping this really short and sweet. I do want to answer one question from a viewer. They were asking about the difference between demo bass and reference quality bass. So in case of Bass Hunters, demo bass is going to be the kind of bass that really pushes your system to the max. We're talking about the kind of bass that you experience at the beginning of Edge of Tomorrow. You know, just punishing, pulsating bass. It's maybe not necessarily associated with anything significant in the movie, but it's just really good system-oriented bass. Reference bass, on the other hand, is high-quality bass that is delivered exceptionally well. It adds to the emotion or the impact of a scene. It doesn't necessarily have to be punishing. It just has to have a presence that's magical. So it's important to keep those two delineated, and we are going to be separating those as we find demo-worthy and reference quality bass. With that said, let's call up a new feature here on Bass Hunters, the scorecard. And here are the 4 categories that we're going to touch on: the movie, picture quality, overall audio quality, and of course the bass. In terms of the movie, I'm giving this one a B. It wasn't a slam dunk home run for me. It left a lot of questions, but it's a really interesting mix of styles. I want to say it's almost like Quentin Tarantino colliding with M. Night Shyamalan, maybe Jaws meeting 10 Cloverfield Lane. If you haven't seen Nope yet, that might come across as a little confusing, but once you see the film, I think you're going to get my drift. Moving on to picture, this film is absolutely delicious, total eye candy. It's a 235:1 image that is full of just amazing colors, clarity, lots of detail. I just loved it. It looked phenomenal on my JVC projector system. I think if you get a chance to catch this on an OLED TV, you're going to see amazing black levels. I mean, just there's a lot to like here. So for me, it gets an A. In terms of audio, this is a Dolby Atmos film. There's a lot of activity going on in the room. I did not isolate it in a way to see how much of that is Atmos oriented, but I can confirm that the surrounds are used to great effect. I think the presentation overall is worthy of a B+. It's kind of pulled down by the overall bass experience, as we're going to see. And you know, with that, let's dive into the bass. For a film that's billed as a sci-fi horror flick, and if you've seen the trailers, you know there's a UFO involved, you'd expect there to be lots of moments with some deep rumbles And unfortunately, folks, I have to tell you, it's just not the case. Let's check out this screenshot right here of a spectrogram. This was a snapshot taken near the end of the movie, actually right during the climax of the movie. And you can see here, the bass really just isn't all that impactful. It is there. It's mainly centered around the 40 to 50 hertz range, going up into 60 hertz, which is very typical throughout this movie. But impact-wise and intensity-wise, there's just not a lot there. And that's, very indicative of what you hear throughout the movie. That isn't to say, though, that there aren't a couple moments worth taking a look at. So here are the top 3 bass moments in Nope. And things on the bass front kick off really fast. This is from chapter 1, just 45 seconds into the movie. And folks, this is about as close as you can get to being reference quality bass without me giving it the reference stamp of approval. I just think that there's something about it that just falls just a teeny bit short, but it's subtle and its execution is absolutely top notch. The way Jordan Peele mixes in visuals from the film and a black screen along with what you're about to hear, it is just eerie. It sent shivers down my spine at the beginning of the movie when I was first watching it. And as I was going back and analyzing everything, it just gives me the creeps. There's just something about it that's just totally wacky. So here, I'm going to let you actually take a listen to it, and then we'll talk about it. Yeah, that's creepy right there. Let's take a look at a 20-second snapshot of that scene right here. You can see on the spectrogram right over on the left-hand side there, that's right around the 45-second mark. You can see it has varied cadence, and of course, each one of these thuds has a little bit different intensity. It just goes so well with what they're trying to accomplish in the scene. This is A+ stuff. I don't want to say a whole lot more because I don't want to reveal any spoilers that are going to ruin this movie for someone who hasn't seen it. But if you're looking to pull one scene out of this movie to use as demo material, I think this has got to be it. Moving along, we find ourselves with bass moment number 2. This is from chapter 16 at the 1 hour, 56 minute, 30-second mark. Now, folks, you have to realize this movie is just about 2 hours long, maybe a tad over 2 hours. And our bass scene number 1 is at the 45-second mark, and there's just really not that much going on in the movie that we have to push all the way to 1 hour, 56 minutes. So what you see here and what I heard on my own system is decent. You can see here that there is some nice texture throughout this bass. You have peak frequencies that are hitting in the 50 to 60 hertz range, some rumbles that are going down a little bit lower, but overall it's just an okay scene, nothing to write home about. Just based on what's happening in that particular scene and the visuals that you're seeing on the screen, you would expect a little bit more. I mean, that scene, from my perspective, would have benefited from a little bit more low-end energy, a little more attention to the bass side of things. It's just not there. It's okay. I mean, the scene is still really dramatic, but kind of a miss from a bass perspective. Now here on Bass Hunters, we don't give up. We keep scrapping and digging and looking for reference quality bass. It just so happens that the next best bass scene, this is bass scene number 3, happens just a few moments later. We're still in chapter 16. I'm going to call this the cycle scene. It's largely dominated by a drum, which has a really neat effect. It's notable. Nothing really to write home about, unfortunately. Then there's some other activity going on, and here, I'll let you give this a listen. Now, I'm not sure if you picked up at the end there, and let me play this back again in slow motion. See if you can hear it. Right there, you can see it right there. That is a nifty little bass drop. Now, it lacks in intensity, could have been a little bit more powerful, and I think that good systems are going to pick it up, though. And it's something that I believe I heard throughout the movie. I mean, at least one or two other times. But a nice little ending, kind of a cap to that particular scene. With that, let's call up our scorecard once again, and you can see right here, nope gets a C. That means nope, there's not a lot of demo or reference quality bass in this movie. What we have here is a lot of average bass. It's just okay, ho-hum. So unfortunately, bass hunters, if you're looking for that real big bang, you're not going to find it in this movie. All right, folks, that's all I've got for you today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on Bass Hunters episode number 4. If you'd like to track me down, you can find me over on Twitter. My handle there is at AVWoofer. And of course, you can always find me on the forum at avnirvana.com. My username there is my name. That's Todd Anderson. We will see you next time on Bass Hunters when we check out the Black Phone. We'll see you then.